So today I thought we would talk a bit about cholesterol and why cholesterol is such an important thing to know about and to understand as a midlife woman. So when I think about cholesterol, I think it is really easy to kind of demonize cholesterol as this awful thing that we don't want to have any of. Cholesterol is a vital molecule for our body. We use cholesterol to make all of our hormones. We use it to make brain biochemicals. So cholesterol is really important. Cholesterol is not bad. But the issue with cholesterol is the transport of cholesterol in the blood. So cholesterol is made and stored in the liver and then is used in the organs. And think of the blood like the highway for how cholesterol gets to where it needs to be and how excess cholesterol gets back to be stored. And then think about the different types of cholesterol as like your fleet. So your fleet can be made up of different vehicles. HDL cholesterol, its main job is actually to take cholesterol, any excess cholesterol, back to be stored. HDL cholesterol is like a compact van. It is really efficient, it's good storage, it doesn't tend to drop things along the way on its journey. Think of LDL cholesterol as, which is the molecule that tends to transport cholesterol to where it's needed. Think about it like a farm trailer. So you've hooked it up to the back of your car, you've stuck some stuff in the back, you've put a tarp on and tied it together with a bit of string, and it's not quite as secure. And particularly if it's overpacked, stuff falls out along the way. So that's what happens with LDL cholesterol. So if we think about it like that, it begins to help us to think about why some kinds of cholesterol are more problematic than others. Why do we care about cholesterol in the blood in the first place? Well, now I want you to think of those highways, your blood vessels, like pipes. We don't want our pipes to get blocked up with excess cholesterol that has fallen off the trucks. Because if it gets blocked up and if that cholesterol sticks to the side, then it can limit the blood flow that is getting through, and it can also then become unstable and crack. And if it cracks, then you can get a clot forming that actually blocks that highway, blocks that pipe, and that's what causes a heart attack and stroke. So that's why we want to keep cholesterol as low as possible. So we think about the amount of cholesterol we've got, so how packed are your fleet of vehicles, but we also think about the length of time that your body is exposed to that cholesterol. So if you have very high cholesterol over a relatively short period of time, 10, 15 years, it might cause a problem. But if you have moderately raised cholesterol, then over the period of a lifetime, so say it's moderately raised from your 40s to your 80s, a bit like pipes that are exposed to limescale. No problem to start with, but over time that builds up. So I think it can be easy for us to kind of sit on things and go, oh, well, it's not too bad, I'll think about that tomorrow. Actually, with the principle being, it is better to prevent a problem, it's better to stop the build-up of anything than deal with it once you've got a blocked artery. We really do need to be thinking from midlife onwards about the impact of moderately raised cholesterol for a length of time if we are looking at preventing heart attack and stroke and blocked up arteries in our 70s, 80s, 90s. Why is midlife the time that it matters so much? Well, as we age, like an aging fleet, everything just starts to work less well. So naturally, as we age, we can expect our cholesterol to rise. For women, there's a kind of added whammy. So as our estrogen levels fall as we go through menopause, estrogen affects cholesterol metabolism. So when estrogen levels drop, we see a natural rise in our cholesterol, and that tends to be a fall in HDL, these compact, efficient transport mechanisms, and an increase in LDL. So we see a change and a rise in our cholesterol metabolism. We also see a change in the blood vessel itself. So think of our blood vessels like they have a Teflon coating. So our body is really clever, it's designed to resist damage. When we're younger, we've got this Teflon coating in our blood vessels that stop any excess cholesterol from sticking. Like any non-stick pan, as you go through time, that Teflon coating can get cracked and can be damaged. And once there's a little crack, it's more likely for something to stick there. For women, once estrogen levels fall, that accelerates that process. It's a bit like you've suddenly got a kind of scouring brush out. So you've got this kind of addition of risk, a rise in cholesterol, damage with age, and a lack of estrogen. And that means that whilst it's very unlikely for women to have cardiovascular disease, so heart disease, stroke, when their ovaries are working, once our ovaries have stopped, postmenopausally, we very quickly reach the same levels of cardiovascular disease as men. Cardiovascular disease has probably been chronically underreported in women because we present with different symptoms. So this is something that we know is a big killer of women throughout the developed world. But we also know is probably underestimated and underreported. So I think for women, understanding cholesterol, understanding what your cholesterol is, and understanding how it is going to affect you over time is absolutely vital. Keep tuned, because I'm also going to talk about how you most accurately look at your cholesterol test. So the tests you get from your GP are good. They're going to tell you total cholesterol. They're going to tell you your LDL cholesterol, that kind of less efficient transport mechanism, and your HDL cholesterol, also your levels of fats, the triglycerides. But there are some additional tests that can be really, really helpful when you want to know kind of how atherogenic, how likely this cholesterol is to fur up your arteries.